Welcome back to another Parts Avatar podcast. On
Hello.
today's topic, you have once again me and good old Tony, Mr. Antonio, Mr. Ant, that he hates.
You gotta stop with the nicknames. You're terrible at them. You're ready for fatherhood because you're mildly embarrassing when it comes to nicknames.
I have a lot of good dad jokes too.
I bet.
Should we start this off with the dad joke of the day?
Sure, let's do it.
This is my favorite dad joke. So, one day out in Alberta, a farmer goes out in his field and he can't find his tractor. What's the first thing he says?
Where's my tractor?
There you go. What else would he say?
I fail to see the humor in that, but okay.
It's all good.
Let's get on with this.
Today's topic is going to be the Cybertruck. We had the opportunity to see it at the auto show up close and in person. And then even more recently, we've seen a lot of coverage of it on social media since it's been, handed out to the brand new owners that have been waiting for this truck. And actually, I think even recently, Doug DeMuro completed his review of the Cybertruck. So I'm going to be, I haven't watched it yet. It was in my recommended yesterday. I ended up watching some World War II stuff, but that's just me.
I was way out of left field, but okay.
Yeah, yesterday I decided to watch
Normal people. I went home and I read a book or I played some video games or I watched the latest show. And then there's Alex. Oh, I went home and I watched World War II stuff.
Well, it was post World War II. It was how Albania was Europe's North Korea.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
how they had their own offset of communism and everything. Yeah, long story.
Oh.
Anyways, the Cybertruck. We saw it in person. Tony almost died because it was the angles were so sharp on it that he almost slipped and fell and died right into it. Not actually, but he said that if he did, he would die in it. The corners were really sharp, which is surprising.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a car.
The funniest thing is that I bring up and why I start off with that topic is I have a 92 Miata. And in the late 90s, they banned the production of pop-up headlights because they were not safe for pedestrians because the sharp corners of these pop-ups would hurt pedestrians in an accident. But then now in 2024, we have the Cybertruck, which has literal angles that I bet if you backed into someone and lightly hit them, you would pierce them and hurt them.
Oh yeah. You're not walking away from that accident. Well, the person you hit is not walking away from that accident because you're just gonna slice right through their car. I don't know when they were planning how to design this car. Why didn't they think, oh, let's not make it completely looking like a knife?
You know what? I have a feeling, and maybe this is along the lines of the type of person that Elon Musk is. During production, or probably during the initial drawings, someone went to Elon and probably said, Psh, he won't produce that. And he's like, yo, bet. And then, especially when the initial drawings came out in public, people are like, it's definitely not going to look like that. Concepts never look like that. And then he's like, yo, bet. And then he made it look like the concept drawings. It's honestly probably just he did it for just to prove a point.
It doesn't look like the concept drawings. When the concept came out, it actually looked really cool. It still didn't look like a car, but it actually looked pretty cool. And then they came out with it, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what is this? But that's with most concept drawings. Like when they create a concept car and they draw it, like I can't even think of it. There was a car that was really cool concept-wise, and then they came out with it, and it was like, what is this garbage? I think it was the new Prelude.
No, what you're thinking of is the Supra, because Toyota showed off. It was the FT1. Yeah, the FT1. See this. And then this ended up being the Supra afterwards, right? And people are like, "Oh, they butchered my boy. This looked so much cooler." But honestly, it honestly looks like the Supra at the end of the day too, just like with a few different lines. I'd say, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like side by side, they look pretty similar. I'd say.
Yeah, they the FT1 or whatever looks like it has a body kit on it.
Yeah, obviously FT1 looks cooler, more sleeker, different. It has the gas there and other stuff like that.
I never saw that.
The
So I
FT1?
definitely so I
That was at
definitely
the auto
was
show.
I was definitely thinking of something else.
Hmm.
No, I mean I never saw the concept drawings of this, but I did see the concept drawings of another car, and when it came out, people were like, "This is disgusting."
Oh, are you talking
Almost like the Sonic movie when they came out with the original animation.
Yeah,
It
or
was
are you talking about
just-
the new Prelude? Oh no, are you talking about the new Integra?
Maybe
The Integra, I think
they
it
came out with
was.
some really good concept drawings, and
Yeah.
then it was just awful when it actually got released.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Cybertruck. So Alex thinks it looks like a block of cheese. I think it looks like a fridge. It literally looks like one of my buddies. I saw it before we went to the auto show. I saw his like Instagram story, and he was like, "Who parked their appliance in a car show?" It was so.
It kind
funny
of does
'cause
look like a fridge, especially
looks
the
like a
finish.
fridge.
Yeah, stainless steel, like
yeah.
yeah.
And like the whole selling point was stainless steel. It'll never rust. It'll whatever, the metal will stay quality. But there's already video going around of the Cybertruck sitting on the lot rusting.
Corroding, yeah, and the big thing with the corrosion is they didn't account for external factors, which you typically have to, but that comes down to everyone, right? Because like if you think about other cars, they're like, oh yeah, these cars won't rust, and they don't rust in some places, and in other places they rust like crazy, right? A great example is, you take DSMs, right? Like the early Eclipses and stuff like that. And in like Japan and in other places, they don't rust even driving in the winter or other stuff. But then you take it to like Canada and they rust like no tomorrow. Or like in Pennsylvania and those states. A great example is like you look at the Gears and Gasoline video they did recently with the road trip with their Eclipse. It was like rotted to crap, right?
Well, the E36 even, it has like a aluminum body or whatever. So it didn't rust, but the outside does. Or like the parts on it does.
Yeah, to the same degree with the E39 M5, right? My buddy Paulo, he had a E39 M5, and that car. Yeah, you met Paulo. You remember Paulo, Josh's buddy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he had an E39, and that thing bankrupted him because of the corrosion. Because the rockers on the M5s were metal. There was no like side skirts on them, so everything came direct in contact with it. And he bought like I'm pretty sure a higher mileage one.
Oh.
And it was like a Canadian car, and it was
Yeah.
like rotted, right?
What car doesn't bankrupt you these days?
My TDI doesn't.
If you had low money, it would bankrupt you.
No, I keep in mind I put a bit of money into it, but like
If you had low money, if you didn't have a high paying job at the time that you got your TDI or whatever, or
yeah, I got my TDI in for university. It was costing me nothing. Like when it's a diesel,
but all your
right?
modifications now, you wouldn't be able to afford that if you were on, say, my salary, an actor's salary.
I baked my car when I was in university still. I didn't have
Mm.
a full-time job.
Okay.
So I was
I'm not
working-
going to go into your personal life, but there's a reason that you can afford all of those modifications.
I am an engineer, so there's a little difference there. My co-ops were quite well paid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
And I interned at a news station, and it was free.
yeah. Hey, I know plenty of people that have done internships at like hospitals and stuff, and they're unpaid positions. So, hey, some people want to do that. For me, I'd rather work at an engineering firm and get that bank.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, true.
anyways, back to rotting cars.
Cybertruck. We have to go back to the Cybertruck.
Yeah, and
We
rotting,
get so off topic.
and rotting cars. More on that topic as well is that there was external factors, right? Like the cars would be exposed to salt, to brine, to other things that, the Cybertruck is produced in Texas or in California, right? One of the two production plants of Tesla, where they don't experience things like that. They experience heat, they experience other things, but people forget how bad brine is. It's literally a chemical put on the ground in order to, lower the freezing point of water, right? Not even salt, brine, like that stuff is horrid. And obviously,
Is that the stuff that is in Canada's
yes,
brine?
brine,
Oh, I
yes.
didn't know that.
Yes. So brine is the liquid anti-freezing agent you see them putting on the roads.
Oh,
That
okay.
stuff is horrible. It'll eat through anything.
Yeah, and it does.
And yeah, and even cars that aren't meant to rust end up rusting, and it's like, what the heck? And even a great example is my dad had a Mitsubishi Outlander, and he had it undercoated, and no rust issues. But then when we were at Automatrix, remember what Edward said? He's like, oh, one of the worst cars he had to deal with rust was a Mitsubishi Outlander 2009.
Yeah.
Same generation of car, horrible rust, right? So it's all how you take care of it. So the Cybertruck is not well prepped and not well prepared, right? You can't just have stainless steel. It's still steel at the end of the day. It still will corrode if not properly taken care of. Heck, even aluminum. Aluminum doesn't rust. Aluminum corrodes over time. But you get salt. I got a little bit of salt on my work VS XXs, and they get corrosion. And they don't look good, and they don't have that super shiny finish. Then you have to go polish, you have to wet sand, you have to get rid of it, right? So even stuff that typically doesn't corrode is still prone to corrosion, right? Or, some sort of chemical reaction, which is not accounted for. But even that, the Cybertruck was supposed to be made to be super off-road, and I don't know if you've seen some of the videos online already of like people taking it through a puddle, and then
I have not.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
haven't. I've been trying not to watch Cybertruck stuff because it's embarrassing.
Well, I'm trying to stay in tune with the industry.
Yeah.
Doing my research and stuff for our videos.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like this Jeep drives through this little puddle and it's nothing, and then the Cybertruck drives through the same puddle, and all you hear is like, and it's like, I don't think it's supposed to do that. So
Wait, they sold that as an off-road vehicle?
yes,
In what world?
in Elon Musk's world,
You have to have like curves and smoothness. This thing is like taking a building through a forest.
Well,
it's like taking a trailer, not the vehicle, just the trailer, through through a forest.
keep in mind,
Because it's like a block.
yeah, but look at all the other vehicles that are off-road vehicles: Land Rover Discovery, Land Rover Defender, Jeep Wrangler, even the Raptors, the G-Wagons. They're all big blocks, right?
The G-Wagon, I agree, but the Land Rovers, they have curves. They're not completely, but like
No, you're
Still,
thinking
this
of
is
the
like-
Land Rovers on the road. I'm talking about the Defender and the Discovery. Those are big blocks. Those are the real off-road ones. You're thinking of like Evoque or the Range Rover Sport or stuff like that, right? Those are curvy.
maybe,
but those are pavement
I
princesses.
definitely have seen the what is it? The Avenger,
Defender.
Defender.
Yeah.
The Avenger.
Here, let me.
Let's take a look at that picture because
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank here.
Yeah, big block.
Curvy. Look at the front. It's rounded off.
It is rounded off, right? But it is still a big
The
block.
Cybertruck is just this. Like,
Yeah, but here, this is the original Defender,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but that's a Jeep, basically. It looks like a Jeep. It looks like a Wrangler almost.
Yeah,
But it's just like it has an extra big cab. Well, let's take a look at the Cybertruck again.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't even seen.
It's even worse when you look at it again. There's no rounded off points.
Look at the interior. The interior reminds you that you drive a block of cheese.
And you know what? We didn't see the interior, and now that we're seeing the interior, like we didn't see it in person, thank God. But now that we're seeing it, it's even worse.
those seats look cool though.
They do. It looks like a spaceship, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be driving a spaceship on the road. It's just I don't know.
Look at that block of cheese driving through the desert.
You know what it looks? It looks like one of those modern futuristic buildings in the desert.
Yes.
It just
Um,
looks. It looks like somebody's cottage.
it looks like they tried building Abu Dhabi in the middle of the desert, which they did. But like when
Yeah.
the first building in Abu Dhabi went up, they're like, "Is that a Cybertruck?"
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, the reliability of it too. Like you can't. It's supposed to be an off-road vehicle. You can't even take it off-road without something breaking. I'd be honestly scared to take it through really deep water too, because unlike a Jeep with a snorkel, like I guess the electric motors are all sealed off, but you're in a box that's all electric. Like
There's the problem is there's no way of knowing for sure because it's something that's brand new. It's not. You really have to go on trust. So if you take your, I don't know how much they are. What, 60, 70,000, $80,000? How much are Cybertrucks now?
over 100.
Okay, if you take your over 100,000 off-road vehicle and you decide I'm gonna take it off-road in a big mud puddle, or not even a puddle, like a mud, like a track, like a trail to where off-road vehicles go. If you want to, you know, shake hands with the big off-road boys, then you got to take your Cybertruck there, and you really have to go off of trust that it's going to work. And that is not something that I would pay 100 grand to do.
So let's continue with the topic of, on the topic of the Cybertruck, but with other electric trucks too, because there's the Ford Lightning and there's some other electric trucks that are out there. And a great example is that recently, Hoovie's Garage, not recently, like a year or two ago, he bought the Ford Lightning to tow his stuff around. And he said that it did not make sense. For towing locally, it did. But like he towed his stuff across the country, like as soon as he put a big trailer with another car on it, it lost half his range. Like he was doing 150 miles on a charge, right? And it's like you think of these huge pickups. When you fill up a huge diesel pickup, you'll go like 800 like miles on that. It's like 100 and something liter tank, so it's like a lot of fuel. It's a big truck, right? You have the space for a big fuel tank,
Yeah.
and you can go those distances. But if you buy a Ford Lightning, you can't do it. The same thing I've heard with the Cybertruck is that, when it tows, you can expect like to go down to like 60% of its original charging capacity, right? Like then what's the point, right? Like the range isn't great on them yet. So, and then you use them to tow and it's not that great either, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a funny point you bring up too. You said yet. Just this morning, I was just on Facebook and I was looking at videos, and there was somebody who decided to. He said, "I'm gonna race your McLaren with my Tesla, and I'm gonna beat it." And obviously, he beat it because that's the theme of the video. And then there's a bunch of Tesla fanboys underneath, and they're like, "Oh, like you guys have to get on board. The year of the combustion engine is done. It's just wait. It's just a matter of time before it takes over. Like you're just gonna be left behind." And I commented, and I'm like, "Well, see, that's the problem, right? The problem isn't we need to catch up. The problem is it's being forced on us. If it was a choice, sure, I might consider it, but it's not a choice. A lot of the government policies these days are like they're raising the carbon tax, and they're creating like huge problems because everyone's driving gas and they want everyone to drive electric. And long term, it doesn't make sense because the amount of resources it takes to pull one battery that it does to make like 10 cars is astronomical. Like there's way too many resources being pulled for one battery. So like how are we supposed to like I don't think it's caught up, like it's not ready, the electric world. It's not ready right now.
So I'll give you a one up, right? There's so many people that are so enthusiastic and they're like, yeah, electric is the way forward. And you need to buy your electric cars. No, you don't, because the greatest example is Porsche for the longest time. It's Porsche is a specialty car, obviously, right? And the common trend, even with base Caymans, base 911s, you buy it, it gains value. It's one of the only cars that gains value because there's a wait list for them.
Really?
Yes.
I
There's
didn't even know cars could gain
I'll
value.
I'll go into that
Wow.
one day because I almost
Classics.
did the flip with the Cayman. I almost bought a Cayman S a few years back when I was working at BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm.
For that reason, because I would buy it. I think I was gonna buy it for around 65,000, right? Drive it for a bit, and then the cheapest used one on the market for a Cayman S was 85,000. Because the
For
thing is,
used.
for a used one, yes.
So a new one you'd be paying 60.
But I'd be waiting about 6 to 12 months for it.
Oh.
And when someone wants a Porsche, if you go in the dealership, you're not going to want to wait. I want my Porsche right now. I have the money for it. I want to buy it now. I'm not broke. I want to buy it now. So I would go and I'd wait that 6 to 12 months. I had a nicely option with the base options, like the important ones, and that's it, like enthusiast spec. So then I'd go and an enthusiast would be like, I want a Cayman S right now. And then I'd be like, mine's for sale, 80,000 right here. I enjoy it. I gain money on it and stuff like that. And when the Taycan came out, people were doing the same thing. They're like, I'll order this Taycan. I'll do it. And there was even guys that had 911 GT3s that had allocation. So with a GT3, if you own one, right? If you buy one on allocation and then you sell it to like a private sale, you won't get another allocation. Porsche won't let you buy another new one unless you trade it in, right? Because when you're trading it in, it's going back to the dealership. You don't get as much, like you don't make as much money on it because obviously it's a dealership and stuff like that. So I know a guy that traded in his GT3 for a Taycan, and then he lost about $50,000 on it because the used Taycan market, I looked into it, they don't go for more than they lose value. And no one wants to buy these used electric cars because just like Tesla, you owned your Tesla Model S, you sell it to me, the what's it called? The autonomous driving thing, right? You owned it, you bought it out. I don't get that feature. I have to pay Tesla again for it.
Wait, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
that's even worse.
Oh yeah. So it's
gosh.
like you just buy the base car again, and then Tesla recoups their money on thing. Because like you can buy a Model S for like less than 30 grand. This is like a $100,000 car, brand new.
Yeah.
But you see how much value they lose because of that. Because most people are like, dude, this car has the cameras, has the sensors, has everything equipped. Why can't I use this feature? Because Tesla's like, because we didn't check mark the box for you.
So is Cybertruck also going to do that, you think?
Oh, yeah.
They're already doing it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So to
Like-
sum it up, Cybertruck is ugly. Looks like a fridge.
Yep.
It's dangerous. Probably.
Yep.
It's probably, like, we don't know for sure, but just by looking at it, there's no way that thing is safe.
Yep.
Like, if something malfunctions, which it's a computer, it's gonna.
Yep.
Like computers aren't perfect. They're built by a human, and humans make mistakes. So the computer is going to make a mistake. That was a bit of a reach, but you follow me here? It's going to make a mistake eventually. And when it does make a mistake and it throws away all those safety warrants that it's supposed to sell, basically, the reason Teslas are so safe or so great to buy is because they're safe, whatever. It's gonna injure somebody really badly because that body line is not meant to. It doesn't look like it's meant to take impact like a regular car would. Like it just looks like
Not only that, but if you
it
think,
would plow through anything.
yeah, and not to mention, it's I don't know. I'm not sure if it is a true unibody design or whatnot, but like that quarter, looking at it, is a big piece of metal. And if you think about it, like the reason it's got so delayed was because of scarce resourcing. Like you get in an accident with one of those, how long is it going to take to find the replacement body panels?
Yeah.
Right? Like you're going to wait months for body panels for your Cybertruck? That sounds a little ridiculous to me.
That's another thing. The last video we were going off about how a majority of Tesla drivers, we don't really think they can drive. I'm scared to see the people getting in these vehicles. They are the size of a house. And they're probably like the stainless steel has got to be blinding.
Like I guarantee
is it reflective? I couldn't tell if it was reflective, but
it has like a satin finish on it, right? So it shouldn't really be that reflective. but still it'll still shine, right? It's still almost like a mirror in a way. But what I was gonna actually mention is like if you look at the size of it, it looked just as big. We saw the new Hummer, the Hummer EV.
Oh
right?
yeah. That's a good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are like the same size. That thing was huge.
Yeah. I was surprised how big it is in person. Because when you see videos of it, it doesn't look that big. And when I saw it in person, I was standing next to a giant.
The Hummer EV, I will say, like, although it's still also an electric truck based, I guarantee it's based on the Silverado or some other GMC platform. It looks cool.
The difference there is that Hummer is a brand that they've stuck to one thing for a very long time.
Yeah.
They're dipping their toe in the electric scene, but they still know off-road. They still know heavy-duty vehicles that need these safety constraints, and they need people thinking about what's going to happen if they take it off-road or if they get in an accident, whatever. I don't trust that Elon Musk has thought about this.
You look underneath of the Hummer, and it's all like protective paneling.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what's all this paneling for? Oh, in case drive over a landmine.
Yeah.
It's like we're going back to our military roots, and then Tesla's just like pavement princess with like a little bit of you can drive over a curb.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll see how it pans out in the coming months, but I can guarantee you the EU is already kind of backing off because in London, England, they introduced a tax.
It's so tiny there. The lanes, the streets are so tiny. Like, how are you going to fit that kind of vehicle there?
It's not even that point that I'm getting to, is that they have a ULEZ charge, right? Ultra low emissions zone charge, where you can't drive a diesel into like downtown thing without paying an extra fee or tax.
Wow.
So they're forcing people to have newer cars that are not necessarily electric, but newer cars.
I did see that, yeah.
But now London has a power grid problem where they don't have enough electricity for all electric cars to be charged in London.
And there we go.
So it's contradicting because it's like, oh, pay this tax because, we want you to have newer and less polluting cars in a congested area. It's like, okay, I'll buy this electric car. Oh, you can't charge your car overnight because we don't have enough electricity. It's like, why did you tell me to buy this?
I like that voice.
Hey, you got it.
Hey, you can't charge it. I can't even do it. That was so good.
Hey, we told you.
The nerds. You got to push up on your glasses.
I went back.
We told you that you're not supposed to drive in.
We went back to the lab. We went back to the lab and we decided to do a bunch of experiments and we found out that it's all phooey.
Phooey. Yeah.
I'm keeping it PG-13 here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. YouTube is going to ask us, is this video for kids? And I will say yes, because phooey is a kid's word.
Is this video for kids?
I don't know. I
Definitely not.
No, unless the kid
watching this.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe some kid is developing his own Cybertruck.
Stop him. We already have one. We don't need another one.
I'm gonna wait for someone to.
I am curious to see, because Tesla, like the Model S,
Which one?
I don't know. I've seen a couple of them modified. I've seen some with bags
Model
on
3s,
them.
a lot of Model 3s.
Like
yeah.
they do.
Constant has one.
They do look decent. Modified. I still don't really like Tesla, but I will say that the modifications look pretty cool. I'm excited to see how people mod the Cybertruck.
If I'm not wrong, there's someone that said that they would take the body of the Cybertruck and make it look like a warthog.
Well, that'd be sick.
That would be cool, but it definitely won't have the driving capabilities of a warthog.
Oh no,
so
definitely not.
That's the downside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall electric trucks are not the way forward.
They're not ready now.
We don't have the infrastructure for it.
I don't think
we don't have the range for it.
Vehicles in general are a good idea until we get the grids ready. You can't you can't force an entire like community of or not a community. You can't force a country or force the people in a country to follow a certain rule if you're not even prepared for what that rule is going to do to the I'm losing myself here, but it's not the country is not ready. The countries are not ready. Like we don't have the
produce
power.
a product that's made for the masses without having the infrastructure ready to support masses owning the product. Simply put,
There you go.
it's
It was there. That's why this is how we work, right? I say a bunch of words that don't make any sense to anybody, and then Alex realizes what I'm saying and says it for me.
Tony tries to light up a light bulb, and then I'm able to articulate how that light bulb will turn on and work.
I don't really understand that example, but okay.
All right, there we go. You get the beginnings of an idea, and then I'm able to
to
go through with the rest of
So
it.
I start screwing it in, and then you finish screwing it in. How many Parts Avatar employees does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know. We don't have any light bulbs at the office. we
Oh
don't.
my gosh.
What?
You're right. We don't really have any of those screw-in light bulbs.
No.
We have
Fluorescent lighting.
fluorescent lighting and
LEDs.
LED softbox lights.
Yeah, and even my lights in the shop and stuff, those are all halogen or other stuff. Or
Would
even
you look at that?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize. Okay. Well, that's
you learn something new every day, don't you, Tony?
absolutely.
And I think we'll end it on that note.
Yeah.
Tesla's Cybertruck does not fancy for us.
How do you feel about the Cybertruck? We're not really about it, and we don't think the infrastructure is ready for it.
No.
But how do you feel about it? Let us know in the comments. And we've had a couple episodes. Well, we had one episode, and now this is the second episode on electric vehicles. Do you want to continue this discussion, or should we move on to something else? Because we can always come back to the EV discussion.
I think eventually we will, but maybe for the next episode, maybe we'll have a special guest or something, and we'll talk about Hondas for once.
Ooh.
Tony likes old Hondas.
I do, yeah. They're awesome.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's Parts and Pistons, and we'll see you next week. Remember, Parts Avatar has got your back, so don't forget to subscribe to the Parts Avatar channel so you don't miss any of these exciting videos.